But now Liverpool are allegedly prepared to up the ante and come to the table with €200 million.
But there's no truth in it. I heard there was no offer from Liverpool because of this player, and also Leipzig wouldn't make this swap deal. But now they are thinking, well, perhaps we can replace him if there's a lot of money on the table because his salary is very high.
Servus, hello, this is Farrell Keeling bringing you Bayern Insider, and we're joined as ever by the head of football at Bild and Sport Bild, Christian Falk.
Hello from the south, hello from Munich.
Hello from the north, somewhere close to Leeds. Cold, but no snow over here, sadly. But coming up instead on today's show, we've got our Liverpool coming in hot for Michael Olise. Could Alphonso Davies be joining him at Anfield? Is it all over between Bayern and Kennet Eichhorn? A ton of contract updates, transfer news, and so much more as ever. But firstly, a quick word on the Bundesliga action, Christian, because Bayern couldn't have possibly set themselves better for life after the international break with that 4-0 win over Union Berlin. Goals from Olise, Kane, and a double from Serge Gnabry. 9 points between themselves and Dortmund in second. After the game, of course, Vincent Kompany was keen to emphasise in particular how important Serge Gnabry is to this Bayern Munich side and how, ultimately how underestimated he's been in the team this season. How do you feel about that assessment, Christian?
Yeah, Serge Gnabry, it's his best season at the moment, and I think it's because of Vincent Kompany. He gave him a really good role in the team. He's now playing more central, and he's doing very well. And I'm these days with the German national team, and there Serge Gnabry is back again, and at the moment, it seems he's back also in the top 11. He's in the starting 11. So you see, if you're doing well for Bayern Munich, you are always a starter also in the national team. And it's really surprising. I don't know if you can imagine such things in England. The number 2 in the goal of Bayern Munich with Urbik is also in the squad of Bayern and Germany. So you see, Bayern Munich rules the team.
As it should be, well, onto the transfer front then, Christian, and what a corker we've got to start off with. Obviously, there's been so much chatter in the recent weeks around Michael Olise and his future in the sport. Again, of course, the connections have been with Liverpool Football Club. We had it recently discussing the prospect of Real Madrid coming to the table with €160 million. But now Liverpool are allegedly prepared to up the ante and come to the table with €200 million, if the reports are indeed correct. Firstly, Christian, is there any truth to any of this? And what does Olise make of all of it?
Yeah, the rumors we have also heard in Germany, and I can tell you, I talked with the bosses of Bayern Munich. I talked with Max Eber, the head of sport, and he said, no chance. Michael Olise is not for sale. He's the future of Bayern Munich. And even if there is an offer of 100 or 200 million on the table, Bayern won't even discuss it. They want to give him a new contract. And he said he has no release clause. So Bayern Munich is in the driver's seat, but also in the dressing room of Bayern Munich. It's a big topic. Everybody is thinking what will happen with Michael Olise when Liverpool really comes, when Real Madrid really comes and says, hey, we want you. And the player says they don't think he will do it. We talked with Lennart Carl. He said, no, he seems that he's so happy at Bayern Munich. He want to make something big with this team. He want to win some titles. And we also talked with the CEO of Bayern Munich, Jan Christian Dresen, and he said, yes, there are clubs who are making a flirt with Olise perhaps, but he thinks Bayern Munich is guaranteeing him titles, and this is more important for some players like Michael Olise, that he will win something with Bayern Munich and not follow just the money.
Absolutely. Of course, we can probably safely guarantee it will take quite a lot of money if either club were to attempt to try and prize him out of Bayern Munich this summer. It's interesting for Liverpool, obviously, Christian, because we know that they are looking at a number of winger target that's been going on for months now. They have to. Mo Salah obviously has announced that he's leaving this summer, a year ahead of his contract's initial expiry date, which is going to run out in 2027. So it's imperative that they get in a top quality, world-class replacement on the right. Nothing less will do. And we know they've also not really been happy with what's going on the opposite flank, which explains, of course, why they have been so closely linked with RB Leipzig's Yan Diomande. And now there are even rumours, I believe, of a swap deal in the works that would potentially see Cody Gakpo head in the opposite direction. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it's true that Liverpool is looking closely at Diomande. I heard there were the last matches always scouts of Liverpool and in the stand in the stadium were watching him, but also beside there were scouts of Paris Saint-Germain, so be careful. They have also a close eye on him. The big advantage is Leipzig would sell if there are any offers about 100 million euros. Bayern Munich is also keen on the player, but this is too expensive for Bayern Munich, so there's not Bayern Munich in the poker. That's good for the Premier League. That's good for Paris Saint-Germain. And the swap deal, yes, I heard the rumors as well, because Liverpool, after Salah, they need a replacement. It will be getting difficult for them to get Michael Olise. They know that because Bayern Munich shows that, and that's why it would be a very good option to get Diomande. So there were rumors about a swap deal. Cody Gakpo should be the man who go to Leipzig, and on the other hand, Diomande to Liverpool. But there's no truth in it. I heard there was no offer from Liverpool because of this player, and also Leipzig wouldn't make this swap deal because he's too expensive. They have another profile. They're searching for younger players who can develop, so they're not interested in Gakpo.
Very well, very well. Bayern could, of course, end the season with 3 trophies under their belt, but it won't necessarily make their lives any easier when it comes to the coming summer transfer window because it's a World Cup year. With that in mind, Christian, I mean, how does that impact the club's approach to the window? And is it true that they're sort of planning a wait-and-see approach to the transfer market to see what happens when the market picks up later?
Yes, they're waiting because they don't want to spend so much money. What they want to do now is something which is not so expensive, like Chevrolet Reed. They're always thinking of the rumors about the right back of Chelsea, if he is on the list or not. These are transfers in the range for Bayern Munich at the moment. Still searching for a left back. Rumors again from about Touré from Hoffenheim, and these are the things at the moment, but nothing like the very, very big transfers like they did in the past, like Luis Diaz, 75 million euros, Harry Kane, 100 million euros, or Olise, which was really cheap, you have to say, with 55 million euros. But at this point, for a player of Crystal Palace, and there were just Newcastle on the table, it was a good price.
Absolutely. I think given the money that we're talking about now for Elise, I think Bayern could stand to make a healthy profit, but we'll see. We'll see. We spoke about Alphonso Davies recently, Christian, and specifically, of course, about Manchester United's well-documented interest in the fullback. But now there's a fresh report that's come out that's suggested that intermediaries have actually offered the Canadian to Liverpool as well as United for the summer. Any truth in those reports?
It's very interesting on the one hand side. I tried to get some informations about this, and it is true that there are thoughts in the club of Bayern Munich because he's injured again. If there are big offers on the table, perhaps they would sell him before it was clear that they need this player, that he's one of the best players in the team. But now they are thinking, well, perhaps we can replace him if there's a lot of money on the table because his salary is very high. And his agent, yes, they had difficult talks with the club when Alphonso was signing a new contract, and now he didn't do some things against these rumors. So he could say, no, that's not true. I didn't offer it anywhere. He has a new contract, but he didn't. He is quiet. And this is, yes, I have a suspect.
Well, that's one to keep an eye on then for the summer window. But of course, Bayern aren't going to be just looking at offloading defenders in the next window. You've obviously already mentioned Chevrolet Reed, and there are fresh reports now about Bayern also keeping a close eye on Stuttgart centre-back Finn Jeltsch. Is this indeed the case?
This is not true at the moment. Of course, Bayern Munich knows the player. Everybody's looking at him. There are also many scouts of the Premier League at the moment in Stuttgart to watch him. He's doing very well. He's 19 years old. He has a German past that was interesting for the German national team as well. But at the moment, no directly offers for him, but he's a player for the future and very interesting. But Bayern Munich doesn't search a centre back at the moment. He's on a long list, I would say, like some others, but nothing concrete yet. But he's about 30 million euros at the moment for sale, I think, and so this is a price perhaps the Premier League pays.
Yeah, absolutely, an achievable price. And speaking of talented young centre-backs in the German top flight, we understand, obviously, that Tottenham's Luka Vuskovic was previously of interest to Bayern Munich, but obviously we've spoken about this topic before, Christian. It was made clear the player wouldn't sign for Bayern Munich because he'd be unlikely to get the kind of playing time that he'd be looking for at this stage in his career. That said, is there any truth to the reports that we've seen suggesting that Bayern Munich are planning a secret raid for the player?
Now, Bayern Munich is searching for a player if Kim would be sold. There were talks, the agents brought some news from the player to Bayern Munich and not the other way around. So, but I heard Barcelona is concretely interested, so I think it could be too late for Bayern Munich if they wait for this player. And yes, we have to see what happened with Tottenham this season. I think this is the main point in this discussion where he would go. So let's keep an eye on him, but I don't see him next season at Bayern Munich.
Barca, they're big into their centre-backs, aren't they? In a minute. Also reports of Bastoni as well, I hear. But yes, moving on to the midfield. We've got the Swiss press now claiming that both Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are among the top clubs tracking Freiburg midfielder Johan Manzambe. Now, Christian, we know, of course, that Bayern Munich are also quite well stocked in midfield for the time being. But is this a player that they'd be prepared to potentially make an exception for?
No, not true at the moment. They don't search on this position. We have talked a lot about Leon Goretzka. There are fresh news. Milan is making something concrete. Allegri wants him very much, but also rumors that Arsenal is still keen on him, and also Atletico Madrid. So we lose a player on this position, but Bayern Munich has already Tom Bischoff in the squad, a young German player who has really a chance to play in the national team in the next years. So this is enough for Bayern Munich beside Pavlovic, beside Kimmich, and beside Leimer, who can play this position as well. And they bring back Aseko, a talent, and they gave Daiber, also a talent of Bayern Munich, a new contract. So you see, Bayern Munich is now trying to get some more Leonard Karls players from the youth in the squad, and that's why they don't need a player from Switzerland.
Plenty of options in the midfield. Christian, can we take that to mean that the reports suggesting the club has pulled out of the race for Kennet Eichhorn are true?
This is the only exception Bayern Munich made. It's true that Bayern Munich is still interested in him, but it's very difficult because there are other clubs who can offer him more playing time, like Eintracht Frankfurt. They're still interested in him. Yes, we have to wait what he want to do himself. If he stays at Hertha BSC, he can play there. He's just 16 years old, so it would be a good thing that he can develop there. But at the end, when there are the big players on the table to buy him, and he said, I want to make the next step, Bayern Munich would make an exception for him and bring him in the team and say, okay, this player we can develop, and he's a big talent for the future for Bayern and also for Germany.
Absolutely, and also of interest to Premier League clubs, as we've been led to believe, so one to keep an eye on for the summer. But of course, this isn't the only battle between Bayern and the Premier League that we're potentially facing in the next transfer window, Christian, because reports have indicated for some time now that Chelsea, Tottenham and Bayern are interested in Fisnik Asllani, the 23-year-old Hoffenheim forward. But is it true or not true that Bayern are totally out of the race for the player?
It's not true that they leave the race, but it's true that another club has a better chance to get him at the moment, and this is Borussia Dortmund. You know, they have now a new head of sport. Sebastian Kehl was fired, and now there's Ole Burg. He's new there, and he is now in charge for such transfers, and he can offer Fisnik Asllani playing time because the club is thinking about selling Girassi and to Milan, so they're interested. So there they can make place for a player like Asllani, who has a release clause, I think, between 30 and 40 million euros. And this is amount of money Bayern Munich wouldn't spend at the moment for. It would be a substitute at Bayern Munich, to be honest. So he's on the list, but not high rated at the moment.
Well, there you have it. Lots of intriguing transfer news amid the international break. It's a long old international break, isn't it, Christian? But we have to make do somehow. But of course, if you're catching this on YouTube, be sure to drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, and hammer that notification bell so you're always the first to know what is true or not true. This has been the Bayern Insider Podcast with the inimitable Christian Falk, and I've, of course, been your host, Farrell Keeling. We'll be taking a brief break on the podcast next week, but in the meantime, we do hope you'll take care. And as always, danke fürs Zuschauen.